the Fab Four. Let's rank them from.
Steve Smith.
Well, we know you won. Let's rank them from best to least best because there's really no worst player amongst them. These are all titans of the game, all-time players, legends of the sport. But of the 4 guys right now, the Willow Talk research team has crunched some numbers. We've got their runs average, away average, because these guys are expected to dominate at home, right? And they do. It's how they stack up overseas. Their away tons and their 4th innings average in tons. And there's some interesting numbers here. I'll just quickly go through the highlights. Root's average is 51, Williamson the same, Smith 57, Kohli's dropped a bit down, he's down to 49. Their away averages, Root is 46, Williamson 45, Smith 52, and Kohli 41 and a half. Away tons, Root 13 and 130 innings, Williamson 13 and 95, Smith 16 and 104, and Kohli 15 and 114. And now their 4th innings averages in tons, Root averages 41 or 42 with 200s in the 4th innings. Williamson 55 with 500s, super impressive. Kohli 46 with 2, and Smith, this is the only sort of black spot in his career, 33 and no hundreds in the 4th innings. He got very close against the West Indies.
That's not a black spot.
Well, what are you saying? Because they win the games all the time?
Yeah. We've already won.
Yeah.
He's just having a net there to get 50. We never have enough runs to chase.
Well, there have been some occasions where he could have done it. Let's rank them. Let's go from 4th to 1st.
Okay.
Do you want to try that? Go that way?
The form they're in now or overall?
All time. There are no losers here.
Nah, because they're all
great.
They're all very,
They
very
could be
good.
all equal first, but we're not going to do that.
Well, if I'm just purely basing it on numbers, I'm going to put Kohli as 4th. But I actually I rate him as number 1 in everything. But if you're purely basing it on numbers, Kohli's going to sit 4th for me.
Well, you don't have to base it purely on numbers. It's your rank. It's your.
Nah,
ranking.
I'm looking at it analytically today instead of just
It's tough.
my fun to watch glasses.
I think you're right though, because he is the best white ball batter ever.
Yeah.
And maybe that has taken a bit away from his red ball game at the back end of his career.
I think about how much cricket he plays,
Yeah.
and that's where I look at his stats and I think they're remarkable because of the sheer amount of cricket he plays and the amount of pressure he's under.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at it purely analytically, he's going to sit 4th.
Who's your 4th?
Williamson.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
And
We're going to be very different here.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Kane Williamson fan.
Yeah.
Has he got 100 against us?
Yep.
When?
The Gabba?
Gabba.
40 odd or something.
Yeah. So I'm Kane Williamson. It's interesting looking at I'm not really looking at the numbers. We'll talk more when we get to the top, but I think if someone to win me a game, I'd have the other 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had to bat for your life, I wouldn't mind Kane Williamson to sit there.
Yeah.
He'd be one to say, but I'll put him at 4.
Okay. 3rd then?
Number 3, I'm going Joe Root.
Oh, wow. What about his numbers have him lower than the other 2?
I'm jumping ahead here, but my number 1's Kane Williamson in that regard because of purely, I feel like it's just been him for so long, and to have the numbers that he does and continually keep New Zealand in contests is quite remarkable to me. Whereas Smith's always had somebody else around him to help him out a little bit, but Kane Williamson's literally carried that team for so long.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it really hard because you look at Joe Root's numbers there and you're like, blimey, that's a lot of runs.
Amazing. Yeah.
And to do it, Kane as skipper as well,
Yep.
All right. So we know you're 4.
Yeah,
3,
sorry,
2,
I've
1.
just named them all.
So
now.
you've gone Kohli, Root, Smith, Williamson.
Yep. From
Ads?
bottom up.
Yep.
So I've gone at 3 Root.
Yep.
2 Kohli, and
Okay.
number 1 Steve.
Yeah. Tell us why Steve.
I just think
Even now.
Yeah, I'm obviously Aussie's a big fan, but when Steve,
You were out there when he scored his first Test 100. Yeah,
yeah,
a few
but
ties there.
what I like about Smitty is when he gets into his zone. Remember, we had that period
Yeah.
Was it 2012 against India? When did India come out here? Or was it earlier than that? I might have even still been playing. Where he said to me at the start of the series, India won't get me out. I said, well, they will. Anyway, they didn't.
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. He just controlled the tempo of the game. He can bat in all conditions. I even like that he put his hand up to say, you know what, I'll open.
Yeah.
And that to me, Steve Smith's at number one. When he's in the zone, and to do it with the way he does it, like it hits different. Like if you had to coach Steve Smith the first day, you'd go, all right, mate, you've got to change your backlift. Your back shoulder comes through here. You'd change 15 things.
Yeah.
The only one backlift to ever go out like that and come back is Bradman's.
Yeah.
It is so. Yeah, I'm Steve Smith. And Kohli was close second. The reason I like him is just the pressure he's got on him to score runs all the time. Like if he doesn't score runs, it's a disaster in India. Everyone goes on strike for a day.
Yeah.
But the other one is...
Yeah, but somebody else in the team always does. That's what I'm getting at.
Is that easier, though, sometimes? If you're playing in a worse team and you're the best batter, you don't have to worry about batting at a certain tempo.
But the pressure, Kane Williamson has literally carried that team, whereas Virat, he's the best player in the world. Let's be real. But someone else will always be there. Like if it's like Rohit Sharma might score 100, KL Rahul will score 100. He's got Jadeja can score 100 at 8. So he's always got someone else. Whereas I feel like if Williamson doesn't make those runs, New Zealand don't go anywhere near winning.
Well, I find that's an interesting one, and I agree with your point. But sometimes when you're in a team, and say you would have been in nearly every team you play, actually.
Yeah, I'd sneak off first ball, let someone else do it. Yeah.
No, where you would have played coming through, where if you didn't get runs, you lose. And that's a conversation about Williamson. Sometimes I find that easier.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, because if I don't do it, then we lose, so I got to do it. Yeah. Whereas sometimes you're like, oh, well, if I get out here, so be it.
Well, but you can play at a tempo, then you don't have to dictate the tempo of the game. You just got to bat and then hope. Where Smith and they're really good at changing the tempo of the game, controlling that period, taking a bowler on, getting another bowler in the bat. Kohli's outstanding with that. Root's been awesome with that the last bit. So, yeah.
I'd also like to preface my comments for saying that I know Ross Taylor did exist and he carried also that team, but
Brendan McCullum maybe.
Kane Williamson still going.
Yeah, he's
still going strong.
Gun Williamson.
Anyway,
you said Williamson to save a day or bat for your life. Out of the four, who's the most aesthetically, if I can say?
Are you going to edit that out for yourself?
No, I'll leave it in. Aesthetically pleasing to watch. I mean, I'd probably have Smith
Kohli.
at 4. I'd probably have Smith last in that.
Kohli and Williamson.
Oh, geez, Joe Root looks good when he gets 100, though.
Yeah.
Kohli, Smith,
those drives.
Root, Williamson.
You still got Smith too.
Nah, Kohli definitely number 1. Williamson number 2. That back foot punchy thing that he plays is but Joe Root plays the same shot, but that's elite.
I find it amazing with Williamson how he gets his timing right when he flicks his bat around.
It's amazing.
Because the other three are so get your hands right, and just as he's running, he spins it, and his hands go in the same spot every time.
Can't get him out caught behind. His hands are so soft that it'll just fall short. Anyway, as we said, we're not ranking them from best to worst. It's best from slightly not as best.
Yeah.
They're all great players.
Amazing.